स्वाहम् इति मे निश्चिता मतिः.
Lord Ram, pleased with Hanuman's praiseworthy service and unconditional surrender, asked him, Hanuman, tell me, how do you perceive me? To which Hanuman replied, with reference to the body, I am your servant. As a Jeev, I am a part of you, and as my true self, I am you. This is my firm conviction.
Demon King, open your eyes. I am pleased with your penance. Ask what you desire.
Prajapati, if you want to bless me, grant me the boon of immortality.
Who can kill the one who is immortal? What are you asking for?
I do not believe in Atma. To me, the body is who I am. I do not believe in Brahma either. For me, only the perceivable universe and the physical body are real. So if you can, grant me the boon that neither a human can kill me, nor an animal, neither handheld, nor ballistic weapon, neither on earth, nor in the sky, neither in the day, nor at night, neither inside the house, nor outside it.
If that is what you want, so be it.
Did you recognize him? This well-known character from the Puranic tales of Bharat?
Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu.
You're absolutely right, Nati.
A father who denied the supremacy of Brahma, and a son who believed in the existence of only Brahma. Two views opposed to each other. How did it come to be, Sutradhar?
There was a time when gods and demons were at war. Vishnu killed the Asur king Hiranyakashipu's brother, known as Hiranyaksh. Enraged by the slaying of his brother, Hiranyakashipu ordered that Vishnu's followers should be found and killed at any cost. The Asurs wrought havoc everywhere. Gods once again clashed with the Asurs. The Asurs could not withstand Vishnu's power, upon which Hiranyakashipu, who wished to be as powerful as Vishnu, proceeded to Mandrachal mountain and began rigorous penance to please Prajapati. Seizing this opportunity, gods attacked the demons. The abode of the demons were destroyed, and the king of gods, Indra, took off with Hiranyakashipu's wife for Devlok, the abode of gods. On the way, the reverential Devarshi Narad stopped him.
What are you doing, Indra? This is Hiranyakashipu's wife, Devarshi. She's a woman. She's Shakti and a mother. Can't be killed. Devarshi, I don't intend to kill her, but she's pregnant. I shall free her after killing Hiranyakashipu's child growing in her womb. What is the fault of the child who is yet to be born, Indra? I want to vanquish the entire demon clan. No one is a demon by birth, Indra. Only due to disbelief of the gods, the entire demon clan has grown, Devarshi. Indra, if you too kill people in the name of clan, color, appearance, beliefs, and religious views, then how will this violence end? Why to punish one who has committed no crime? Why should a wife be responsible for her husband's actions? I foresee, Indra, that the pious Kayadhu shall give birth to a great divine soul. He can't be killed, as God himself is going to protect him. Anyone attempting to kill him will himself die. Daughter, have no fear. If the gods are unable to protect you, then we the rishis will take up this responsibility. My child, you've again forgotten to have milk.
Devarshi, why did you take this trouble?
There is no difference between a servant and a sage, my child. In your own home, servants would be serving you. This is a hermitage, so here Devarshi will serve you. My child, you feel safe here, isn't it?
Father, sometimes I feel scared.
My child, for the one who feels disturbed and scared due to the misplaced belief that the body is enduring, the Lord's worship is a secure path to become totally fearless. One who cannot perceive God's existence due to the influence of Maya believes this physical form is the Atma. He who cannot see beyond the physical forms becomes fearful. One who does not consider himself different from Brahma and always contemplates on him becomes fearless. If you wish, you too may contemplate on Narayan and become fearless. Narayan, Narayan. Welcome, Hiranyakashipu. May all your desires be fulfilled. Please be seated.
I am obliged to you for protecting my wife Devarshi. Had you not been a well-wisher of gods, you could have been our Acharya.
In my eyes, all are equal. Those who worship the earth, the sky, air and fire, constellations, living beings, trees and plants, rivers and oceans, and every particle of the universe as so many manifestations of God. They do not differentiate. For them, there is only Brahma.
Here, there is only I, Devarshi.
Here comes your Shakti.
After obtaining the boon from Prajapati and remembering his brother's death, Hiranyakashipu became hostile towards gods. Intoxicated with power, he started violating the rules of the holy scriptures.
On the other hand, the youngest of 4 brothers, Prahalad, accompanied by other demon scions, was engaged in the study of politics and economics under Shukracharya's sons Shand and Amark, an education based on the false premise of what is mine and what belongs to others.
Then one day, Hiranyakashipu asked for his son Prahlad to be brought to him.
Well, my dear son, tell me one thing. What is it that you don't like about politics?
Differentiation between oneself and others. The false premise of me and mine. This is the cause of man's constant restlessness.
Well then, what should he do?
To avoid differentiation, he should completely surrender himself to Lord Sri Hari.
Shand, Amark! It seems someone is misguiding my Prahlad. The understanding of a child can easily be influenced by others. So both of you must ensure that no one leads my son astray.
Shand and Amark taught Prahalad Arth, Dharma, and also Kam. After teaching him Sam, Dam, Dand, and Bhed, they brought Prahalad to Kayadhu the other day.
Listen. Refrain from saying anything that may displease your father. You're growing up now. You will have to guide the demon clan in the future. Therefore, you only do what your father approves.
And Kayadhu took her beloved Prahalad to his dear father.
Get up, son. Of all the things you have learned so far, which one do you like the most?
In all these years, I have learned, Father, that worshipping God is the best education. God alone is the creator, destroyer, and governor of the world.
You fools! What kind of education have you given to my son?
Demon King, this is his natural inborn understanding.
Tell me, who is teaching you all this?
Father, people of the world are engaged in meaningless actions. Controlled by their senses, they are blindly running after worldly pleasures, as their only purpose is physical pleasure. Who can make them understand that God alone is the means of their salvation? That attaining God is the culmination of all endeavors.
Fool! You worship the one who mercilessly slayed your own uncle, just the way pleasure-seeking sense organs harm the mind of an ascetic. Similarly, my own son is going to harm me. Oh demons, take this fool away, and by using any means, just kill him.
Legend has it that, as per Hiranyakashipu's orders, several attempts were made to kill Prahlad. He was thrown in front of elephants, was left to be bitten by snakes, thrown down from great heights and given poison, yet all was in vain.
Fed up by the failure, on Shand and Amark's advice, it was decided to keep Prahalad in Guru's ashram until Shukracharya returned. The pleasure that a jeev enjoys through sense organs, be he of any species, comes to him due to his past karma. Just as sorrow comes to him without making any special efforts, there is no need to make any effort to enjoy worldly pleasures. Because striving for something which one is bound to get anyway is only wasting one's life and energy. You all should give up the company of demons who are attached to sense pleasures and entertain the notions of differences such as mine and yours, and try to attain him whose attainment doesn't need too much of hard work. Because he's without distinction. He lives in you. He lives in me, in all animals, in all creatures, from mountains to a blade of grass. O science of demons, God is the master of Maya, but a jeev is slave to Maya. God gives the results of our actions. Our welfare lies only in worshipping and truly loving God.
What kind of absurdity are you teaching these demon boys? So far, you are being foolish. Now you are instigating others too? Now there is no place for you here. Come with me to your father right now. Only he will decide your fate.
You black sheep? Are you not afraid of your king's rage, which terrifies even gods? On whose strength are you defying me and disobeying my orders?
The one who is my strength, who is also your strength, and the strength of every jeev. The one who is the strength of the senses, the mind, and the body. The one who is the creator, nurturer, and destroyer. The one who is the Lord of all the three gunas.
Who is he?
He who is the Lord of the universe.
You feeble-minded, your insanity is beyond limits now. You ill-fated. Who is the Lord of the universe other than me?
Father, forsake this demonic nature of yours and make your heart equanimous towards all. In this world, there is no enemy other than one's unruly mind. Those who believe that they have conquered all the 10 directions, but have not won over the robbers of their own mind and senses. Who can be a greater fool than them?
Quiet! Only those who wish to die speak such kind of nonsense. Tell me, where's your Lord of the universe?
He's everywhere, Father.
What did you say? He's everywhere. In that case, why is he not seen in this pillar?
But I can see him, even in this pillar, dear Father.
Why are you speaking in exaggeration? I shall cut off your stupid head in this very moment. Now let me see how your Lord Hari is going to protect you. Where is he? Where is he? This is neither a human nor animal. At this moment, it is neither day or night. It seems the great sorcerer Vishnu has assumed this form to kill me.
Look at that Sutradhar. Hiranyakashipu, who was not even scratched when hit by the thunderbolt, is now struggling to escape from his claws.
The Lord has brought him to the entrance of his royal court and, having him thrown on his thighs, has effortlessly torn him apart the same way eagles tear apart the most poisonous snakes.
Lord, this entire world is just you. Because at its beginning, only you were there as its cause. When it ends, only you will remain. And in between, it is only you who appears as the world. This universe is nothing but your body. Sutradhar, why is Prahalad saying this entire world, the entire universe is just you?
That it because this earth, the sky, fire, water, rivers, oceans, trees, plants, mountains, planets, stars, all creatures, vital airs, sense organs, memory, ego, the entire world, the entire universe, with or without attributes, seen and also the unseen. All that is but God alone. This alone is God's form. God himself is this world. Now listen further. Prahlad is narrating the agony of the jivas.
O Lord of Vaikunt, my mind is in a very bad state. It is always full of desires. With such a mind, how to contemplate upon you? This tongue, which is never satisfied, keeps drawing me to tasty food. Reproductive organs to lust, skin to soft touch, stomach to food, nose to fragrance, ears to sweet music, and restless eyes keep on drawing me towards beauty. This jeev, bound by its past actions and possessed by the feeling of this is mine, this is someone else's, harbors friendship with some and enmity with others. Considering the sorry state of these foolish jivas, have mercy on them, Lord. Stop here, Sutradhar. If God alone is the jeev and the world, then what's the difference between jeev, the world, and God?
This exactly is what you and I do not understand. That essentially, Ek Mev Advitiyam Brahma. Brahma is one alone, is non-dual. In other words, nothing exists here except Brahma.
That means jeev, the world, and God are one?
Absolutely. Brahma has created this world by and from its own self. Therefore, Brahma alone is the jeev, the world, and God too. For instance, if water is Brahma, then ocean is God, and the waves of the ocean are the world and the jivas.
Then what is the relationship between the jeev and the world?
The relationship between the jeev and the world is the same as the seer and the seen, the doer and the action, experiencer and the experienced. This means the jeev is the seer, the experiencer and the doer, and the world is the seen, the action and the experienced.
But just now you said that the jeev, the world, and God are one. It means that the seer, the doer, and the experiencer are Brahma. And the seen, the action, and the experienced are also Brahma.
So then who are you and who am I? What is yours and what is mine? What is ours and what is someone else's? Got you thinking, hasn't it? As soon as the jeev, out of his ignorance, starts considering himself as separate from the world and God, he starts seeing differences all around. Between two jivas, between a jeev and the world, and between a jeev and God. This is the essence of the saga of Hiranyakashipu and Prahalad. On the one hand is Hiranyakashipu, who calls himself God, not led by spiritual knowledge, but by his ego. He discriminates between devtas and asuras, one jeev and another. Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad represent two perspectives. Hiranyakashipu fights, Prahlad unites. Hiranyakashipu enjoys carnal pleasures. Prahlad talks of controlling the senses. For Hiranyakashipu, the entire world is not enough, whereas Prahlad has no desires and thus he is content. Hiranyakashipu is unable to see the unity between jeev, the world, and God. Prahlad is able to see them as the one Brahma.
It means that one who is able to perceive the unity between jeev, world, and God does not trouble other human beings. He does not harm rivers and trees, animals and mountains, and tries to create harmony among all the entities created by Mother Nature.
Absolutely correct, Nati. Yatra Vishwam Bhavatyek Needam. This whole world is one family. Here each jeev is connected with another. All waves of the ocean are born from the ocean and also merge into it. Each wave is actually the ocean, essentially water. When we see waves forming in the water, it seems as if from each wave, a new wave is being created. But actually each wave is water alone. Similarly, each jeev is Brahma alone. If a jeev realizes his true identity, he will hear just one proclamation from the entire universe. Aham Brahmasmi. And the one who realizes this competes not, goes beyond the envy and beyond the desire to conquer this entire world.
यच्च किञ्चित् जगत् सर्वं दृश्यते श्रूयतेऽपि वा अन्तर्बहिश्च तत् सर्वं व्याप्य नारायणस्थितः.
All that can be seen and heard in this world, within and without, is pervaded by Narayan alone.
यस्य प्रसादात् भवमङ्गलार्था प्रसूत गङ्गोपनिषदाम्